Thank you, Phil, for the introduction, and thank you to all the attendees for joining us today for this webinar. During today's webinar, I will be taking you through a few subjects, starting with a few definitions in the field of abuse liability. I will take you through the scheduling process, how it works, its implications, and the guidelines governing it. And I will be sharing with you some general principles and considerations that should be applied when establishing an abuse liability assessment strategy. The methods that are suggested by the guidelines and that should be applied, in particular the tiered approach, and the main core of this presentation will be around the preclinical studies, which I will be reviewing with you by providing some methodology and some examples of real studies. But to set the scene appropriately, it is important to share some key definitions and concepts in the field of abuse liability. First of all, what is abuse liability and what do we mean by abuse liability? The term refers to a drug that is used in non-medical situations for the positive psychoactive effects it produces. The psychoactive effects can vary very much depending on the type of drug considered. They can include sedation, euphoria, cognitive distortions, hallucinations, and mood changes. Drugs with abuse potential often, but not always, produce psychic or physical dependence that may lead to addiction. And why then do we need abuse liability assessment? It is a specific requirement by regulatory authorities so that all new medicinal products can be scheduled according to the Controlled Substances Act in the US at least. And the aim of this scheduling is, first of all, to prevent the illicit use by addicts, but also to prevent patient population from becoming dependent. And furthermore, to prevent the criminal use of the substances. Which type of compounds should be considered for abuse liability testing? Well, all new CNS-active compounds, especially if they have a novel mechanism of action, and this regardless of their primary therapeutic indication. If no studies are performed, a justification for this will be required. Also, CNS-active metabolites of non-CNS penetrant compounds will be required abuse liability assessment. And finally, marketed products that show unexpected adverse events related to abuse potential, or that are being re-evaluated for example, a new route of administration. But what is a drug schedule, and how does the scheduling process work, and importantly, what does it imply? Drugs with abuse potential are classified into 5 distinct schedules, depending on the drug's acceptable medical use, as well as the drug's abuse or dependency potential. Each schedule includes a set of regulations that are most restrictive for Schedule 1 and 2, including compounds that have no acceptable medical use, and least restricted for Schedules 4 and 5. It must be noted that regulatory authorities may schedule for reasons other than the classical abuse potential. The scheduling process is schematically represented in this slide. When a sponsor submits an NDA application, this must also contain assessment of information related to its abuse potential. This proposal for scheduling is evaluated by the Controlled Substances staff within the FDA, which generally requests the support and the review of the National Institute of Drug Abuse. This information and recommendation is then feedback to the Department of Health and Human Services that puts forward a recommendation for scheduling to the Drug Enforcement Agency that then finalizes this recommendation. And depending on this recommendation, the sponsor will be required to implement specific regulations in the distribution of this compound. Because of the length of this process, timing of for starting the scheduling process is critical. It is recommended that consultation with the regulatory agencies about the need for and the optimal timing of and the best strategy of preclinical abuse liability assessment occurs early in the development process. Regarding the study execution, it is true on one hand that non-clinical data obtained early during the development may be relevant for guiding further clinical development.